I don't know, one of the best horror movies in like the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years probably.
I brought a walkout to that movie.
A walkout?
A coworker, not someone I was dating. But I did bring my wife to Maxine. I would not watch Terrifier with her. She would not like that. She would be mad at me.
Technically, she walked out like the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, we were watching it blind, and I was like, honey, let's see when you walk out, and can you make it more than 2 minutes? And she genuinely left at 2 minutes because it did scare her. Because of the woman's face that was messed up and, apparently had survived a shooting, right? Because that's why her face is messed up at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then the lady talks crap about her and she gets
mauled, yeah.
And that's when I understood what movie I was watching. But I've rewatched the Friday the 13th in my living room in front of my babies. They were too young to be looking at the screen.
Yeah.
But when they're like teens, they could watch those 80s movies because they're so schlocky and silly.
Yeah.
But there's still something, they impacted culture. I guess now I sound like a small C conservative. I'm afraid of what Terrifier says about culture in that way of it reflecting, such vile things to me that made me sad and didn't tell a story I would argue you haven't even argued is safe unto itself because, hey, you didn't see the short movies that were before it, and you should watch two because even though you hated one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's yes and no, right? It's like, and part of it is just sort of the horror genre as a whole. It's like, I look at it as it's the same thing that we've kind of seen historically in a slasher movie. It's like, you're going for the violence, right? If you go, a new Friday the 13th movie comes out, more people are going to go because they are familiar with who Freddy Krueger is. That's the hallmark. That's what you're going to see. You're going for the violence. You're going for the art of that.
Art the Clown.
How often do we get a new hallmark slasher? I mean, that just doesn't happen in our generation. It's never happened. Maybe like not never, but Art the Clown is that. That's this generation's Jason Voorhees. It's this generation's Freddy Krueger, right? We're just old. So that's the difference is, you say, well, my kids can watch, the Jason movies because they're schlocky and kind of like silly. I mean, and by the time your kids are old enough, the Terrifier movies are silly. You know what I mean? I think there's just so much exposure anyway that if you don't raise your kids to know the difference between reality and fiction,
well, sure,
you got a different thing. But I mean, it's also important to see that line and know when the right time is, or if there is a right time. But
this is a good answer to my girl dad question from earlier. Yeah, no, just saying, I was gassing you up, baby.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate it.
Thank
I love
you.
it. Yeah, I think it's just it's an art form in itself, like the horror genre as a whole, and that's Terrifier to me just kind of solidifies that, where it's okay to try to just be gross once in a while and just give us a bloodbath and not worry. So everybody's this would be an argument I'd give to Damien too, be like, not everything needs to just be like the right amount of plot and the right amount of this and that. It's like, no, we went I wanted to watch a 2-hour movie where this character that is really good just hacks people up and chases them around, and like, how is that going to play out? And then the more money they get, the next movie comes out, we get more and more of that. It's bigger and better. It's like Friday the 13th, the first one. You know how many times I got to explain to people who are, you've never seen those. She's like, wants to see Friday the 13th, and I'm like, well, fuck, do we start I don't think we could start at the beginning because you know it as Jason. He's not even an idea yet.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
let's start there. It's a good movie. And
it is a good movie in and of itself. But
the sequels aren't as good. And I would argue this is starting at not good. And you're going, no, watch the sequel. Also, there's prequels you didn't hear about. Like, if you hate this band, you're going to love their early stuff. And the next album that just came out, holy crap, do I enjoy it.
I think my point to that, and you're not wrong.
Thank
I understand let's forget, this is a debate podcast. So
damn right it is.
I just shot myself.
Come get it here.
But
Walker, Texas, Damien. Because you said his name earlier, and I just wanted to differentiate Damien's.
Yeah, Damien Walker probably agrees with you guys. And I would tell him like I'm telling you.
Good.
And the whole world.
Good.
Right?
Great.
I think that what we need to understand is that Damien Leone, when making Terrifier, ultimately it doesn't feel like a movie that he made to sort of just please everybody else. I think he made the movie he wanted to make. I think he brought his character to life in a way that he wanted to, and that was it was just like a small thing. It's like I don't think in his framing of mind that this was going to become like an international like the next thing. I think that it came from where it came from, and this was the next step for him. And he figured if it intrigues people enough, something else can come of it. But I don't think that was his goal. At least not his entire goal. It wasn't all about how much money can we make and how many movies am I going to make out of this. It was, this is the movie I want to make with the character that I love and with what I can do with the budget that I have. And clearly it worked, because people can kind of hate on it, but holy shit, he's a millionaire now, and he's got the new slasher,
3 minutes of ads on Peacock that we endured on mute in my living room while getting ready to watch it. And let's see if you walk out, Huddy.
It's just kind of unreal the way people have kind of just like rallied around it. That's the part that's kind of missing, I think, in a lot of movies now, is it's like people rally around a Jason movie. People rally around Freddy Krueger. Like, you know what I mean? It's like
the horror community.
The horror community. Michael Myers. We got to bring Michael Myers into that. Like, people recognize these characters and they wear it. You know what I mean? They wear the merchandise. They're all about that. And we haven't really seen it. There you go. You got the Freddy shirt on.
I tell you, that was Freddy, right?
This is like this is an American Eagle shirt because I'm a douchebag.
I love it.
It looks like a Freddy, and I've gotten that so many times.
It definitely does. But people rally. It's the first time I feel like we've seen that in years, where like it just has a fan base. And those are the people that he is doing it for. Those are the people that he's got in mind when he makes it happen. And like, fucking A. Like, cheers. You know what I mean?
Since you self-baited earlier, I would like to also
self-baited.
I would like to self-bait a bit. I would like
Mark's turn.
Self-baited.
Self-baited. Should we call our fans self-baited? Yeah, I don't know.
Self-baiters. Hey!
Self-baiters.
I would like to self-bait myself a bit.
Okay.
I do see skill in Terrifier 1. I see filmmaking skill. If he would recognize my game, I praise his game. I see the skill.
Yep.
And I am not here to like shit on it, shall we say. I was excited for the bait, so thank you. And I think you've made a very elegant point about him making the movie for himself and not to be successful.
I think obviously success is like a product of that, right? We all hope that what we work on or what we're doing gains some level of success, but I think the goal or the motivation behind that is that we can just keep going. It's like I've never made a movie thinking, holy shit, I can buy a new house with this. I thought, man, if I could just make enough money off of that so I can put it right into right into the next one.
So you think about how to make money off of the movies you make. You make contracts with people and you're trying to do it. You're a businessman. This isn't a hobby to you. Is that
I think that can be said with any like professional, but I think at the heart of it, we're doing it because it's a labor of love. It's like who's gone into a movie just thinking, I know it. I know this is going to happen. It's like, hell no. It's you're going to lose your ass most likely, but you're going to do it anyway because it's going to happen, and it doesn't matter if you're using the family video camera or your iPhone, or you can bring in all this fancy equipment. Like we make movies because that's the entertainment. That's what we enjoy doing, is the creation of it. And if it makes money, like that's the thing, is Art the Clown is a commercial success in a way that I don't think anybody recognized. It's like I have one song in the second movie, and the amount, like, I get royalty checks from that. It's crazy. It's wild to me.
Fuck yeah, for you.
It's just a nothing, you know what I mean? It's like I'm not even a part of the equation, and I'm making like money off of that. So I think that's, I don't know, when I see Damien Leone, it's like I kind of see one of us, where he's just like, he's not Wes Craven, you know what I'm saying? He's just sort of like this kid from Brooklyn who just happened to have a really good idea that people resonate with, and he's just bringing in, he's very keen on staying independent forever. Like he's gone out of his way to say that like none of his movies will ever be big studio releases. It's all independent. He's a champion of the independent filmmaker, and the fact that I'm involved in it in any capacity is proof of that. Because he doesn't like know me, you know.
He'll know you after this podcast.
You gotta love it, okay? You gotta love it.
Yeah.
Because of the interview at the beginning, he'll be like, "Oh, well, I like this West guy whose song it is. That's what I hope when he." So I also I agree that Art the Clown is iconography that is clearly successful IP unto itself. I like it as, and I'll bait my brother and say that it is intentionally mime. It's mime plus clown. Because he doesn't speak. It's the opposite of Pennywise. They've said all that. But it is intentional mime, and mime is like an additional parallel art form and field of study to clowning. And he's doing both in the same thing. Yeah.
David Thornton, and I think he kind of gets off on like trolling people, like comments on Facebook and stuff, but that has been brought up a lot.
What?
And whether Art the Clown is a mime or a clown.
It's both.
And I think it's a little bit of both, but what he says is, Art is a silent clown. Mime doesn't make sense. A mime would pretend to use all the weapons.
Oh, right.
And Art actually uses the weapons. So.
I did not know the mime code, so I apologize to all the mimes out there.
That's what I'm like, I don't know if that was like a super serious answer or if he's just kind of like, fucking with people in the comment section, but.
No, genuinely, I was in a line to see Easy A. Because Will Gluckman or whatever was going to speak after it, and I was behind a mime, a woman who was in LA going to school, 3-year school. She was in year 2.
That's crazy.
A mime school?
What?
Yeah.
She was paying to go to mime school.
Mime school is a thing that exists?
The mime school that exists for 3 years she'd been going.
3 years.
She seemed like an otherwise sane person.
So
she's got a master's degree in mime?
Then correct.
What? Exactly. Oh, no doubt. But she talked about going to France to make money and living in France and like that.
I respect.
Can we follow? I want to see where. Can we do a like where is she now kind of thing?
Yeah. Please reach out to me, lady who stood in line 2010.
She's gonna listen to this. Hey, mime lady who has a master's degree in the art form.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if she completed her stuff. She told me
definitely a bachelor's though. Because isn't that 2 years? At least
4.
A bachelor and a half. Oh, I don't know.
Unless you're smarter. Like
what's college?
It's music school.
Oh yeah, I went to music school. It's not. That doesn't count.
There is a dividing line over fucking college. I wish there wasn't, but it's okay to acknowledge it, I think. Especially in a bait where you have to draw lines in the sand. So I like the iconography. I see some of the filmmaking skill. I would watch too. Sorry, Kirk. Get in here. Get in here.
I don't know. I still wouldn't want to watch too, because if we're comparing this, is a new icon like Freddy Krueger, or is it too gory? Is it too much? Is it too?
I don't know, Mom.
Yeah, you sound like my mom. I mean but. That's not.
Your mom's a lovely
that's not
person.
an insult. We are just older. It's a different generation, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
our kids can't watch Nightmare on Elm Street and have nightmares from it because it's
my
too
kids
silly.
Could. They're very young.
Right. We watched this. We were kids. That shit, like that was terrifying when we were growing up, but it just doesn't hold up anymore.
Yeah, but even you guys call it schlocky or
schlocky is
It's a good word. I like
campy, but is Terrifier on its own a level too far? That's sawing a woman in half. Come on, we sawed a woman in half in this movie. Gets even bigger in Terrifier 3. Is it overreaching? Because now we don't have our Freddy Krueger, we don't have Jason, we have
Art the Clown. He's on the
shirt
over
but
there.
Art the Clown it might be too much to make that jump.
You don't want him to be in the lexicon.
I think for some people,
yeah,
I mean that's the thing is like there are some people that it's too much for, and to me that just makes it more successful. It's like, and I think that's just the generational step. We didn't have YouTube when we were growing up. It's like some of the shit my 11-year-old watches, to me it's like Poppy's Playtime walkthroughs on YouTube. It's like that's scarier than half the movies we watch. So I just think that if people are into horror in this generation, they just need more out of it. And it's natural for us to kind of grow up and be like, okay, well that just seems like it's too far. Well, to us it seems like it's too far. To them it doesn't.
It's just the natural
it's
progression.
It's just the natural progression
of
things, and I think that's, in a way, horror has always kind of been that. It's always sort of what's the next step? What can we do to make it more realistic? What can we do to make it more, like, shocking? But all at the same time, still over the top enough where it just seems campy, right? Like you said, there's always the supernatural element to it that really kind of takes you out of the reality of it, Second one does a better job of masking that. which tells me that that's not their goal was not to make it loosey-goosey. They did what they could. But even the second one's it's over the top. Some of this stuff, it's like nobody get away with it. You're in public. Like, there are people around. You do not just all of a sudden have 20 minutes to hack this dude up in a department store. Like, people are walking by. Like, it's, but I understand
someone gets hacked
your
up
point,
in a
though.
department store in Terrifier 2?
There's, a little bit.
Spoiler
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Jeez.
That's not the thing. I mean, he's killing people everywhere, but so I think the question is it too much? I would say if I was Damien Leone, that's exactly the question I would want people asking. Is this too much? Because if you got to ask yourself if it's too much, that means he's doing it right. He's doing something that's triggering a response that most people don't know how to trigger this day and age. Hard to expose people to something that they haven't already learned about or have some frame of reference for at a far younger age than we probably did.
I've always had kind of an unhealthy relationship to the news, so I've looked at war since I was a little boy on the TVs.
Fair?
Not that I know anything about war, but not that I know anything about killing either, which these movies seem to do in triplicate. No, more than that. Keep going.
Yeah, good point.
Damn.
That was your line. I'm
Correct.
surprised you didn't use that.
That gets laughs, I'm telling you.
It does. That's her thing all the time. I'll
Good
stumble around my thoughts and completely derail to the point where I just give up and stop talking, and she'll go, Good point.
Yeah. Well, okay, actually, my brother here, would you show Terrifier to your daughters at the same age you saw a movie like that?
I don't think that I've seen. I'm trying to. What is a movie like that? Because
Well, what age did you see
in
a
college,
movie?
sure.
Yeah.
Like then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
They won't be sheltered because of the
Wes
internet,
saw
so
a movie that he shouldn't have seen at that age. But would you show Terrifier to her at that age?
No.
No, I think.
You should not.
Yeah,
No, of course
Please
not.
don't.
Jeez, I'm not going to.
I'm making that point that Terrifier is too much of a leap. You would show Nightmare on Elm Street. Or,
but at the time,
Friday the 13th.
my mom is probably a different exception to it, right? I don't think most parents would. But isn't that kind of the beauty of horror? Is it's something that we stumble on. It's like it's the taboo thing that we find and we do it in secret. Like if your kid is going to grow up and wants to watch the Terrifier movie, she's gonna.
Yeah.
There's
I would hope she watches it with me when she wants to watch it.
Right.
I would want to support her, but if she didn't want me to be there when she watched it, I would definitely have questions, but I would want her to be in a safe place to watch it. That's the kind of thing
and here's the best part: it'd be probably like a sleepover with a bunch of friends, and that's what's going on. And my thought is, it's like I've never been big on like partying. You know what I mean? That's never been my thing. Let's go somewhere and get wasted. My parents have to worry where I'm at, which is probably why my parents have always supported that part of it. That's my thrill.
Your filmmaking?
I don't like roller coasters. I don't like jumping out of airplanes.
Oh, I do that.
I watch horror movies, and now I make horror movies, and that is in a way it's a thrill. It's not real. We hope that we have an opportunity to teach our kids, but we shouldn't. I mean, they should know just based on society that this is a work of fiction.
Yes.
It's scary. It's made to trigger a response. It's made to give you nightmares. That's what it's all about, man.
And it's easier to show them the older ones because that's very obviously fake.
Yes.
Like, that's just easy to see,
When did you see a horror movie that you were too young for? Zoe?
In your very, very religious
yeah, I
household
was
upbringing.
super sheltered.
God bless.
The Exorcist? We should show your mom that.
I don't know, maybe like
That's a good movie, though.
early high school probably.
Okay.
But yeah, I was always like at a sleepover at somebody else's house.
That's what and that's most of the situations is it's like you can link it to a memory, and most of these movies everybody's going to have an opinion on, right? So a lot of it is just kind of the right place, right time for it. When Freddy Krueger became a thing, that was the right place, right time for that. When the Blair Witch Project came out, a lot of people hated on that movie, and a lot of people still do. The last podcast I was on, I debated that.
For or against?
I was for it. I think it's one of the greatest movies of its time to do something that hadn't really been done yet, right? Right place, right time. And I think
Found
this
footage,
is,
you mean?
it was kind of the birth of that. And I think as such, with the day and age that we are in now and how much violence and it's just all of it is all around us. There's no hiding from it. At least with Art the Clown, it's a movie, it's an escape. It's a thrill, but I don't think it pushes the bounds of like reality versus fiction. I think it's the right time and right place for him. And it's for kind of a new generation. It's surprising with, I work at Spirit Halloween. I manage at
You guys work at a Spirit Halloween?
No, she doesn't.
I do.
I work like 3 jobs, okay? And one of my fun jobs is manage a Spirit Halloween. And it's like, it's crazy to me how many parents come in with their like, older teenage kids. But it's like, the kids are right at the Terrifier section. And it's kind of like a shared experience, right? Now, some people would say that just seems weird. Like, why would you do that? But to me, it just reminds me of like, being young and my mom being like, have you seen the Amityville Horror? Like that movie scared me. It's I don't know. It's like taking your kids to a Disturbed concert. It's weird. Not everybody would do it. But some people look at it as, hey, this is what we're into. It's cool to like share some of that with your kids, even though it might be a little bit much.
I think we're more of like an Andy Muschietti's It family, though, is what I'm saying.
Still great.
Yeah, I know.
Still great.
That's the thing, is that has a good story in the first one, which got you to a second one that did its Godfather Part 2 thing, and then other people feel other ways about it. I'm not here to comment on that. I don't feel that way about Terrifier. I did see a little boy, I have no idea the gender of the child. I asked to take the picture of them wearing the Art the Clown mask in the public of the Mall of America from like very far away.
Yep.
Such a funny picture, and it's an indelible image. I celebrate, that kid running around with that mask in the mall. Yeah. And my kids did, like, I think they've seen the picture, but, they're going to have questions.
They don't have the context yet.
That he's on is Art the Clown a male character?
Yes.
Okay. I want to be sensitive to that. I realized while I was watching the movie and talking to Kirk, I changed
I don't think he ever says it.
He doesn't say anything, but other people refer to him with he, him pronouns. But I don't think it's ever super specified. So there is a little more of I'm not going to spoil it because you guys are going to watch the second one, but there is a little bit of unpacking that I think kind of taps into that a little bit. That's all I'll say on it. There's some elements to the second one that are just kind of like wild in a new sort of way.
When you told me the Spirit Halloween story, that really hit home. So
how did that hit home? Did you work at a Spirit Halloween?
No, just like I could imagine growing up more as a parent and them growing up more as children and going to the Spirit Halloween store. Like what I do is I go the day after Halloween and buy a bunch of costumes just because it's like, hey, for the price of one costume, you can get 4, 5. And I do that. And I bring those home to them and they wear them during the cold months of the year and maybe they'll use them this Halloween. Yeah. I hope,
Yeah. It's just an experience. It's an experience. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think not everybody shares that experience, but for those of us who are just kind of into that, that's been like I have not shown my daughter Terrifier, right? But but I brought her to Spirit Halloween. I've showed her, you start out with some of the lighthearted stuff, Goosebumps and whatever, and it's like there's always that part of me that's like, she knows where my collection's at. One day, I'm sure she'll get some friends together
of horror movies.
Yeah. Start digging through and
Sure. But you hope for them to go through the discs.
Yes.
Let's end on you telling us something, a horror series or iconic figure that you have shared with your progeny.
Ooh. I would say, so my kid's kind of sensitive. So, I say that, but then, like I said, she watches stuff on YouTube because that's the comfort, right? If it's on YouTube, it's okay. The idea of watching a scary movie is like a different thing for her.
It's her tube.
But I would say we have like our favorites. I think there's a lot of it, I think, for like younger generational stuff. Like the new Goosebumps movies were really great. Those were some of our favorites. Where it's like I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it, but I like to share that with my kid. So we really liked those. Movies like Coraline is a really, really good one. Paranorman. We did a lot of like the animated stuff. So that was like a big thing for us. But beyond that, it's like, she's not quite at the I want to pop in a scary movie yet. I think Paranorman was maybe just a little bit of a stretch for her at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen Paranorman. I'm trying to think if one of my daughters has seen it. I believe the older one has.
Yeah. I've had to learn to be careful because and I guess it's like my daughter's like autistic, so it's like things are a little more visceral for her. I've learned, so it's like we went through a phase where we're really into the Loch Ness Monster. So we're like looking at pictures, and it's like I grew up being obsessed with that, and then so I'm sharing that with her, and then I got her mom telling me, well, your kid doesn't want to go in the bath because she's afraid the Loch Ness Monster is going to come out of the drain. So I'm like, okay, I got to be careful. I got to be careful what I'm exposing her to, but it's like you said, it's kind of like when their curiosity comes up, you hope that you're the one that gets to kind of facilitate that in a safe way and in a way that is fun and lighthearted.
That they enjoy and have a positive memory.
Yes.
From.
Yeah, and if your kid's like stone cold and you can show them Terrifier and they know it's fake and it's like, cool, great. Probably not my kid, unfortunately, but some people's kids are like, oh my God, that's crazy. They just sawed that woman in half, Dad. And you're like, yeah, wild. That's fake, right? Yeah, Dad, I watch you do it all the time. I think that's different, too, coming from a filmmaking standpoint, because it's like, my daughter's played with the blood and guts and stuff, so it's like she understands that I make scary movies.
We laughed while showing my older daughter one of our scary movies, and she laughed along with us, because it was, to us and her, ridiculous, I assume.
Yeah.
And there wasn't, like, swearing or anything, but, like, blood comes out of a toilet. It's like, what if blood came out of a toilet?
Right, yeah. What if blood came out of a toilet?
Yeah, so.
Let's make it happen.
It was very expensive and hard to do. I still feel good about it, and it always gets a reaction.
That's great. Yeah, and it's all. And that's all.
It
horror.
didn't get screamed off screen.
No,
I can say that out loud.
It didn't get screamed off screen.
There was somebody who was like, "Fuck all men," and I was like, "Yeah, you're watching the movie the right way, I guess." Like,
Yeah.
They seem to be engaged, I guess I would say, and I've heard and appreciate your arguments and like the spirit behind which Terrifier was made, assuming no one was hurt in the filmmaking process.
For some people it's a little too much, but it all comes from an idea, whether
Kirk's
it's blood coming out of the toilet or sawing a woman in half from her vagina. Yes. Thanks for joining us, folks.
I might not be completely convinced, but I will check it out. See, I will check it out.
He won?
No, I don't know. I want to because I'm curious about like.
Oh my God!
You gotta hear his song.
I mean, Kirk, for no other reason, just the fact that I had a little involvement. You gotta support your fellow like filmmakers.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
We already recorded the bonus episode. Yeah. So we do bonus commentaries.
Okay.
And we'll just we recorded our first reaction to it, and many of the reactions were, "Oh, I don't like that. That's like rapey. Ugh, you're gross." And I God bless them making the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And probably a fourth one because it's going to hold well this year.
I think so, and I think that'll be the end. I think the fourth. He said that the fourth one,
John Wick style,
will definitely bring that arc to a conclusion. John Wick, that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, I think John Wick technically he's coming back for another.
Yeah, he's never done. Yeah. They got spin-offs and shit now. Like
Ballerina takes place between 3 and 4. Yeah. How are you guys such neophytes on what's going on with John Wick? Sorry, we're supposed to be.
How can anything take place during the fourth one? That movie, I am tired. Yeah. By the end of that movie. Have you seen, you've not seen it.
I watched it twice in 24 hours. And I watched it in Adobe, with the shaking seats and stuff. It was great.
My God, that's wild to me. Yeah, you can cut all that out. No. That's just wild to me. That movie makes me physically exhausted. He just keeps trying, and he just can't get there. He falls all the way down the steps, right? And then Donnie Yen has to show up, the bad guy. He's like, "Come on, man, let me help you get up the steps here.
Kirk and I wore suits and watched that one.
Yeah, we did. That was great.
Movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
So we'll go out in suits.
No debating that one.
That we wore suits to it?
Yes.
Oh, no.
No debating John Wick 4. You gotta see John Wick 4. You gotta see all the John Wicks. And then John Wick 4.
Bring my mom on.
Next,
John Wick 2.
Well, because otherwise you won't know what the hell's going on. I'd be like, why does everybody hate Keanu Reeves so much? And when did he learn to get so good with a gun? This is crazy. Good
Action
movie.
movies. He
Yeah.
learned it by being in lots of action movies.
Yes.
God bless him.
Yes. Yep. Holly Berry should have came back with her dogs, I think, in the fourth.
Yo,
one.
Yeah,
oh,
but
God.
That was the best part of the third one for sure. Those dogs behind the scenes,
We'll
like
definitely
Yeah.
have 3 episodes out of this one.
hell yeah, let's why not? We're here. Let's make it
no,
worth
no,
it.
no, no.
Join us for our next debate. Bye.
Right.